And for more analysis on the situation, we are joined from Cairo by Emad El Din Hussein, Editor-in-Chief of Al newspaper. Welcome, sir, to the program. Sir, under the Rome Statute, what constitutes the crime against humanity of forced displacement, and how does Israel's conduct in Gaza align with this definition?
We're all aware, even in the case of occupying territories, the international law regulates the occupation status. The occupying force shall provide all services and basic life essentials to the population of the occupied territory, to enable this occupied population to live peacefully on their territory. So these rules of engagement under the international law regulating the rights of populations, now we see a force saying that we can relocate the population either voluntarily or forcibly. Now we have seen the Palestinian population rejecting relocation and displacement at all. In 1948, after the Nakba, we have seen the Palestinian population moving out of their homes, and the new generation are still carrying the keys to these homes till now. The international legitimacy, the United Nations completely and utterly rejects any propositions to relocate the population forcibly and considers this a complete war crime by all laws recognized. We cannot repeat the Nakba of 1948. Any student studying international policy will realize that this is entirely rejected by international law, not to mention international humanitarian law.
Okay, sir, despite the destruction and displacement, what factors contribute to the resilience of Palestinians and their determination to remain on their land?
There are so many factors. We can mention first rejecting the displacement completely, and I mean the political rejection, holding on to their lands. They are patient. These are in primary factors, and there is consensus between the entire population rejecting this proposition. Now they shall receive all kinds of support from the world, and especially here the humanitarian access to the Palestinian resilient peoples. The humanitarian aid access will be the biggest factor to contribute to the determination of the Palestinian people to hold on to their land. We imagine that Israel and the US administration will practice more pressures on the Gaza population, and they already started to impede the flow of the humanitarian aid access. And committing to the ceasefire agreement, we have seen talks about entering 600 aid trucks on a daily basis. Now we only see 200 trucks entering daily. And after the Israeli forces demolished all homes in Gaza, they were targeting turning Gaza into an uninhabitable area to relocate the Palestinians to a more stable areas, as stated by President Trump. Israel will now impede the flow of humanitarian aid, and now we should see a pledge by the Arab world and the world state and the international community to ensure a smooth and streamlined flow of humanitarian aid access. as well as continuing the operations and activities of the UNRWA, which was banned by the Knesset, and President Trump signed an executive order to withdraw the UNRWA, banning its funding. This is highly significant. The world states, especially the Arab world, should ensure all means of support, especially the humanitarian aid that each truck entered to the Gaza Strip contributes to rejecting the forcibly or voluntarily displacement of the Gazan population.
Sir, what has the what support, sir, has the international community give the Palestinians in their efforts to remain in their homes and resist displacement, sir? And here, of course, in my question, I highlight on the international community and what has the international community done for the Palestinians, sir, in light of all they're witnessing.
The international community can first reject the proposition proposed by Trump and the far-right officials in Israel. We have seen a lot of good stance by Germany, Australia, France rejecting the displacement, and we have seen the United Nations also refusing this idea. Of course, it's a good stance, but it's not enough. Condemnation alone is not recognized by the far right in Israel or the US administration. We know Israel is committing genocide in the Gaza Strip, and even the ICC condemning the situation was not influential for this far right government. So the diplomacy and politics are very important, but not enough. What will be enough is a real move, a real steps to support and enable the Palestinian population to hold on to their lands, because the West now should stop giving arms and weapons to Israel, treating Israel as a state that is committing genocide, to restrain and put limits on the Israeli relations, and pending any change in their policies and changing the forced displacement idea. And I think if they sent a clear message, and the clear message of President Trump that he will take back this decision, because this man only believes in deals. Is it going to be a win or a lose situation?
Sir, Sir, what role do Palestinian civilian society organizations and activists play in documenting and combating forced displacements?
To reveal the crimes committed by the occupation in Palestine in general, and in Gaza in particular, especially in northern Gaza, the entire neighborhood that have been demolished, the entire families were erased from the social registries. We shed light on individual initiatives. A little girl was directing a very influential message, emotional message to the US President. And I hope that Palestinian and Arab activists send such messages in English, in a language that to be understood by others, not just in Arabic. It's just like reaching the believers. Arabs do not believe in displacement, but we need these words and these messages to reach each human around the world.
Okay, sir, what measures can the international community take to ensure that Israel adheres to international law and respects the rights of Palestinians? And when will this take place, sir?
Unfortunately, the international community stands unable to take any real actions against Israel. We know that Israel committed aggressions and hostilities for 15 months against Palestinians, and the Security Council was unable to issue one decision or resolution against Israel because of the US veto. Some states had some good diplomatic stance, but it only stopped at words and speech. Israel went after the UN Secretary General and considered the United Nations an anti-Semite organization, rejecting all the resolutions issued by the ICC and ICJ. It is clearly stating that it's against anything international or humanitarian or humane. It only speaks the language of power and war. And this is the only law that Israel understands.
Okay, sir, how can international organizations such as the UN and the International Criminal Court, the ICC, hold accountable those responsible for forced displacement and other human rights violation? Sir, and when will they ever react?
The ICC and the ICJ did what they can. The ICC...
What did they do, sir? What did they do?
ICJ issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, the previous Minister of Defense. But as we're all aware, these are good steps from the two courts, but to be applied in reality, the Security Council should issue relevant decisions, and they have been vetoed over and over. And now we were surprised by the US President announcing sanctions on the ICC because they only considered to say that Israel is committing war crimes. This is a reality. The United States withdrew from both courts and important agreements such as the Paris Agreement, the WHO, and the UNRWA suspended funding for the UNRWA, and before then they withdrew from the UNESCO. We're talking about the US administration as a power, and the world should unite to ask if this is the international system, the international order that we can tolerate, or should we send a message to Israel and the US that this cannot continue.
So the conclusion is that the ICC ordered, of course, what you mentioned, and everything was ordered, but there were vetoes and they were not implemented, and we stand where we stand with atrocities and genocides in Israel and in Gaza against the Palestinians, civilians, atrocities and genocides that are taking place every day. So they are not implemented. Sir, how does the forced displacement of Palestinians contribute to the ongoing refugee crisis and the broader Israeli-Palestinian conflict, sir?
If the forced displacement is really committed against Palestinians, now we are violating each resolution taken by the United Nations for more extremism in the region and the world, and more harm to the US interests in the region. Trump thinks when he does that he will succeed. He does not realize that there will be a price to pay, which is instability in the region for long years. The US administration cannot very simply say that it will take over the Gaza Strip and own it and displace and relocate the population, as most of the Israeli population came from other states around the world. Now the Arab world leaders should take real decision steps to stop and deter Israel from continuing the situation forever. The US administration should realize that this, if not causing harm now, it will cause a long-term harm.
Sir, what steps can be taken
ما
to
هي
ensure the safe and voluntary return of displaced Palestinians to their homelands? And what role should the international community play in facilitating this return as soon as possible, sir?
the Palestinian population on their lands. Some already returned from the south to the north of Gaza, but naturally all homes are demolished. A lot of rubble everywhere, and these population said that they would prefer to live on the rubbles of their homes to leaving the Gaza Strip to any place else. The international community and the Arab states have a duty to ensure a flow of relief and aid to the Gazan population. Egypt has been taking a very important role to ensure the flow of this humanitarian aid to enable Palestinians to hold on to their lands.
So what is the stance of the Norwegian Refugee Council on the deportation and permanent displacement of Palestinians, sir?
Have stated all international organizations and individuals, even most states around the globe, expressed their rejection to the United States President statements about displacing the Gaza population. It has been strongly expressed by international organizations, the United Nations, the European states, and the Arab states, which issued statements rejecting Trump's proposal. And consequently, the United Nations have a very respectful stance in line with the international law. But again, basically, we're talking on how to implement these stances on the ground. They are good stances, but they are not enough.
Okay, sir, how do the reported Israeli plans for mass displacement outside of Gaza align with international humanitarian law and human rights principles?
I have stated at the beginning, all the international laws, international organizations completely reject and contradict with relocating any population out of their land and forces the occupying force to take care of the population and provide all essential services. We are faced by this weird situation position by the United States providing Israel with all weapons and arms and requesting the original population of Gaza to leave their lands. And this is unprecedented in human recorded history, requesting Israel to Palestinians to leave to establish what is called a Riviera on the Mediterranean shores. This is really, really weird and unprecedented. I do not think that this scheme would actually succeed because of the resilience of the Palestinians and the rejection by Arab nations. This would actually lead to more tension in the Arab world.
Okay, sir, what are the potential consequences for Israel if its actions in Gaza are determined to be war crimes or crimes against humanity, sir?
There are so many implications. We have a complete generation of Palestinians who witnessed their family being killed under the rubble of their home, witnessing that the Israeli forces killing even animals, demolishing homes, not even homes, but infrastructure and roads, doing everything criminal. We have seen and read about Israeli military officials urging about killing Palestinians and even killing those who try to pull the dead bodies of their loved ones. This generation will grow up one day and will never forget such scenes, and will never forget that there are states who supported these hostilities, which is the bigger threat that is not realized by the US or Israel. Israel today is receiving all kinds of support, and this cannot continue forever. This is the most serious implications on the US interests and the idea of stability in this vital region to the world.
Sir, what is the role of the International Criminal Court in investigating and prosecuting alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity in the Palestinian territories, sir? And what is going on and what's happening? And why can the international communities, sir, or the International Criminal Courts, when it gives an order, why isn't it implemented as soon as possible?
We're fully aware that the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, the previous defense minister, for being perpetrators in crimes against humanity. In addition to the Palestinian officials that have been assassinated, such as Yahya al-Sinwar. As we're aware, for these resolutions to be implemented, and the ICC actually carried out the investigations due to the many statements provided by different member states, but these are not enough. It should go to the Security Council.
Okay, sir, the question remains, as international law faces a formidable challenge, the world watches. Will the global community take action, or will it remain complicit in the continued suffering of the Palestinian people? That was Emad El Din Hussein, editor-in-chief of Al Shuruq newspaper. Thank you very much for your insight, sir, and stay tuned.